Western air defense systems are already in Ukraine. American system NASAMS and the Italian guided missiles Aspide are already here. How effective are they? What do they cover? Will we have enough missiles for them? For some reason, Western experts are talking about the threat of carpet bombing again, although they had previously considered them impossible. How great is the danger? Has Moscow come up with a new threat now? You are watching UATV, I am Alexey Matsuka, and let's figure it out. Protecting the sky is now the #1 priority for Kyiv. In addition to the Iranian drones, Russia used a variety of missiles for shelling, both ballistic and anti-aircraft guided missiles, air, sea and land-based. Ukraine needs a decent response that would allow us to cope with most of these threats. And we have only one option here: to get as many air defense systems as possible and integrate them into a single complex, the US military says.
Well, it needs to be able to have some sort of air cap or iron dome, or some way to be able to take that initiative away from the Russians. And we've been kicking this around for some time, but they need a way to protect themselves from both air and artillery strikes, which is the strength of the Russian military. George Jolwin, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander.
We need a lot of air defense systems too. For example, President Zelensky says that Ukraine has only 10% of what it needs. Kyiv used mainly old Soviet anti-aircraft missile systems such as S-300 and Buk M1. We strengthened their effect by using portable anti-craft missile system, the Soviet Igla and the American Stingers. And we also use fighter jets, which are currently in desperately shortage. As armed forces of Ukraine assure, they shoot down about 60% of Russian missiles, even with the means that they have. And they explain Caliber, Kh-101 and Kh-555 cruise missiles, as well as from the Kh-59 aircraft, are easily intercepted. They have subsonic speed. Also, there are those that cannot be neutralized by the existing air defense systems. According to the representative of the Ukrainian military intelligence, Vadim Skibitsky, air defense managed to intercept only 3 of the 25 Iskanders that Russia launched into Ukraine in October. There is no reliable protection against Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. Well, if Russia attacks with Iranian ballistic missiles, it will be a tough challenge for Ukraine. That's why air defense systems are now on the top line in Kyiv's weapons request. What does Ukraine already have now? Let us try to figure it out. Ukraine has already received the latest IRIS-T anti-aircraft missile system from Germany and is expecting to get 3 more in the near future. Its range is up to 40 kilometers and its altitude is up to 20. It's capable of intercepting planes and helicopters, cruise missiles and drones. In fact, one battery, 3 launchers, can protect 100 kilometers of the front or a large city. The Ukrainian military has already tested IRIS-T and said that the system worked on Russian missiles with 100% success. The first 2 out of 8 promised US system NASAMS and guided missiles Aspide came to destroy air targets. The US uses such complexes to protect important military and civilian facilities. For instance, the US Congress is covered with an air dome. It's important to know that NASAMS can use different missiles with a radius of action from 25 to 40 and even 100 kilometers. Ukraine has obtained missiles capable of hitting targets located 25 kilometers from the installation. That is, they can cover the government quarter in Kyiv and important energy facilities. According to forecasts voiced by Dmytro Kuleba, the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs, by the end of December, the main air defense systems from Western countries should already be delivered to Ukraine. But then an unexpected problem arose. Russia uses so many drones to attack Ukraine that it faces a shortage of missiles for its old air defense system. The London-based Royal Defence Research Institute released a report. Its experts spent several months in Ukraine, met with the military and examined the wreckage of Russian missiles, and here is their conclusion.
8 months of high-intensity combat have consumed unprecedented and unforeseen quantities of interceptor missiles, and Western allies have few ways to supply more directly or indirectly. Royal United Services Institute.
Experts know that Russia can use this shortage of missiles of air defense for the massive and destructive bombing following the Syrian scenario. One of the main conclusions of the British report is as follows.
If Ukrainian SIMs are allowed to run out of ammunition, then not only will Ukrainian infrastructure and other key targets set become dramatically more vulnerable to Russian missile strikes, but the Russian VKS fixed-wing fleet would suddenly again be able to start penetrating deep into Ukrainian-controlled airspace at medium and high altitudes. Royal United Services Institute.
Therefore, in the last Ramstein meeting, much has been talked about air defense. Spain promised to send 4 Hawk air defense systems and Aspide battery missiles for its anti-tank missile systems, guns and shells. But what about the Syrian scenario? After all, a month ago, the analysts of the American Institute for the Study of War were clear. They say it's impossible in Ukraine. In fact, the term Syrian scenario appeared after General Surovikin was appointed to command the Russian troops in Ukraine. Surovikin led the military operation in Syria. He is known for the bombing of Syrian cities and the destruction of Aleppo. According to various sources, from 30,000 to 70,000 civilians died then, while Surovikin received the title of Hero of Russia. Will he convince the Kremlin to use the same approaches now? In fact, it's not very correct to compare Ukraine and Syria, or draw a conclusion about the likelihood of the Syrian scenario only on Surovikin figure alone. Still, the war in Europe has its own deterrents. Russian aviation is used mainly only along the front line. Moscow prefers to attack from afar with cruise missiles without risking the lives of its military pilots. Ukraine should not allow a shortage of missiles. It should competently cover the sky with the new systems received from the West.
Russia cannot further Syrianize the war largely because of its failures to gain air superiority, which precludes its ability to launch the kind of massive carpet bombing campaigns across Ukraine that it could and did conduct in Syria. Institute for the Study of War.
For the first time, the need to create an air shield for Ukraine began to be discussed back in September. The idea was to create a single complex of means of air defense, anti-missile defense and equipment for combating drones.
Allies have provided air defense, but we need even more. We need different types of air defense: short range, long range, air defense system to take ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, different systems for different tasks. Jens Stoltenberg, NATO Secretary General.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Army General Mark Milley says that the new air defense system that Western countries are going to supply should be laid. What does it mean? First, it is about a combination of systems of short, medium and long range altitude. Second, it's about the integration. Now Ukraine has a large set of different complexes that are not built into a single data exchange system. However, everything should work as a whole. By the way, NASAMS has this advantage. An air target can be discovered by one gear and destroyed by another.
The task will be to bring those together, get them deployed, get them trained, because each of these systems is different. Make sure that they can link together with the command and control and communication systems, and make sure that they have radars that can talk to each other. so that they can acquire targets on the inbound flights. So it's quite complicated from a technical standpoint. It is achievable, and that's what we are aiming at. Mark Milley, Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff.
Alas, the decision cannot be found in one day, and Ukrainian cities will hear the air raid sirens for quite a long time. Russia will obviously probe the weak points of Ukraine's air defense system and try to deplete its arsenals by sending more and more drones. But in general, work on the creation of an air shield is already underway, and the first elements of this puzzle have already appeared. What else the West allocates to cover the Ukrainian sky from shelling, and when exactly can we expect the deliveries? I will definitely tell you about this in new videos. Please subscribe to our channel to stay tuned. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.